but one time I visited. Um, what's the name of this brand? Corralejo. I visited Corralejo, and
Corralejo, yes, 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 yes.
I saw the process because they gave us like a tour in their installations, and was very interesting. Was very interesting. See the process of how to say like maturation of the yeah, when it gets like more mature. What is the name of that?
Um, I think the connection is a bit weak. Can you can you hear me?
Now I can't, sure, now I can, but
I cannot I cannot hear you very clearly. I don't know if you can hear me. Now
yeah,
you
I
can
can
hear
hear
me,
you,
right?
but
I'm
yeah,
sorry I
now I
couldn't
can.
hear you before.
Yeah, now I can, sure. Yeah, don't worry. Yeah, I was telling you that
I have a bad connection. I'm gonna move to another sector of the house because I think this is a recurring issue that the connection is not very very good here in this area of my house, which is supposed to be, but it's not. So I'm going to move to the other place of the house. Mickey, can you hold a second, please?
yes, sure, take your time, don't worry.
Let me let me move because this is a bit annoying for me to not be to be able to communicate efficiently
Of course.
because of the I don't know what the problem is. Maybe the server or the modem. But let me just move really quick. I'm in my mom's place because when my brother goes out of town, and I'm gonna stay
Hmm.
here. But then there is a bad connection. I need to go upstairs to the other place. Give me a second, please.
Yes, sure, take your time.
Thank you. Thanks, Mickey. Got my cedar trees. I'm so proud of my cedar trees. They are so grown up now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see them. They're so large.
Yeah, it's
Cedar
true.
trees, they are above 2 meters now. One of them is almost 250. They are so lovely, so beautiful. When they got here, I got them from Chiapas, Mickey, and
Uh-huh.
they were 15 centimeters big, 15 centimeters tall. And now they're more than 2 meters. One of them is more than 2 meters, almost 2.5 meters.
Wow,
I'm so proud of
that's
it.
great. Yeah. Yeah. So this type of tree doesn't require like a specific type of weather.
It does. It does. But I'm taking the risk.
Yeah. Okay. And well, it's working because now they are taller.
The thing is that um, yeah, they need to adapt themselves to the weather of Guanajuato, which is not as moist as it is in Chiapas. In Chiapas is much more humid,
Mm-hmm.
and Guanajuato a bit drier, just a bit drier, and the temperature, I believe, is not so much about temperature, but much more about humidity.
Mm. Yeah, because here in Guanajuato is like more dry, right?
Yeah, it's more dry
Mm-hmm.
and much more humid Chiapas. But I think they will adapt themselves. Now they're almost a year and a half old, and they have adapted themselves really well here in my mom's house. So
That's great.
I just hope they continue growing and being healthy.
How's the weather in Leon?
It's very hot, incredibly hot, almost impossible. I normally take I take a shower obviously once a day, but now I do it almost twice a day, almost every day.
Yeah,
And how about in Irapuato, Mickey? How have you been in Irapuato with this weather?
it's horrible. I would say that the last, well, it started to increase like 2 weeks ago, but it's supposed that yesterday the highest was 35 Celsius, and today is gonna be
Right,
36, and tomorrow 37. So it's still increasing.
incredible.
It's horrible.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, what's your opinion about businesses that have a vertical integration, and what are the challenges? Like in the case of agave, for example, we have the agave sector, which is tequila and mezcal mostly, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And if you see an example of vertical integration, obviously you are the owner of agave fields,
Yeah.
which can range anywhere from 1 hectare to 200 hectares up to 2,500 hectares, like the people in Guanimaro, the cooperative in Guanimaro has. They have 2,500 hectares, Mickey, in this probably the smallest town of Guanajuato. I'm not sure if it's the smallest or not, but it's the one that has the largest group of hectares altogether under one grower, which is the cooperative. So, how do you see vertical integration of different businesses? In this case, we're talking about agave, but also we can talk about milk and other businesses. What's your opinion in general about this vertical integration, Mickey?
Well, vertical integration. mm I would say that makes the business bigger because, in a way, there are like different processes happening at the same moment. Probably the challenges will be like if one fails, probably affects the rest of the of the of the business. But I would say that is necessary, and the big companies does that.
Yeah, of course. Here, in the case of the agave plantations, there
Hmm.
is another risk, which is monoculture problems. And what happens with monoculture problems is that when there is no rotation of crops, some plagues stabilize and stay there, and they
Hmm.
tend to erode the land. What do you think about
Uh,
the erosion they cause?
yeah, yeah, they need to change, right? The crops.
Yes, or rotate, as they say, right? Rotate the crops. They need to do that every so often. What is another challenge that, according to this summary,
The time.
yeah, yeah. What do you see in the case of agave, Mickey? What do you see here?
Yeah, well, in the case of agave, it requires between 6 to 8 years to the whole cycle of agave, and well, it's a lot of time.
Yeah, several times without rotating the crops. Some people, like the people in Guarimaro, what they do
Hmm.
is incredibly intelligent. They have plantations in the middle of the rows. They plant blueberries. They plant pig cheese, cheap pig cheese, pig cheese, garbanzos. They
Mm.
also plant beans. So
Mhm.
they have other crops in the middle of the rows of the agave rows, and I believe that is incredibly intelligent. And also, they don't chop off the trees nor the weeds or bushes or anything. If there is a weed or something that grows, they let them grow. That gives strength to the soil. Um,
Mhm.
how do you like these practices, Mickey? What do you think of these practices?
Yeah, as you mentioned, I would say that it's a smart practice because as we know, if they just continue growing agave, there's gonna be a moment where the soil is gonna be like I don't know if it's correct to say polluted or it's not gonna. Or what will be growth?
Yeah, I think you're right. You could also use the word contaminated because polluted can be due to gas emissions, can be due to many factors, and contamination can be due to germs or plagues or microviruses or something, bacteria.
Mm,
So yes, could be contaminated,
need it.
polluted. Yeah, and it's a serious matter, right?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, of course. I don't know if it now still like being in like in trending because I remember like I don't know 3 or 4 years ago that a lot of people was growing agave, but I don't know if there came a moment where it was like a lot of people doing the same that the market will be affected. I don't know. You that you are more involved. How was going?
It's absolutely true. What you say is totally true. And it's unfortunate that there is a success story. Everyone obviously would like to replicate it,
Yeah,
but
of course.
unfortunately, they all follow this. They all follow the ball as children follow the ball in a soccer game. They all
Hmm.
follow the ball. So if there is success in the plantation of agave or onion or garlic or whatever, they all want to plant it next season,
Hmm.
and consequently, the price plummets.
Yeah,
So
of
when
course.
prices plummet, the market collapses.
Hmm.
And this is unfortunate because there is no planning, there is no coordination among the growers. If they were just smart and communicate with each other, expressing what they're planning to plant. Hey, Mickey, I'm going to plant onions. What about you? Oh, I was planning to plant onions. Well, why don't I plant then garlic and you plant onions and next season we change or we swap? Well, let's do that. Yeah, we do it, right? We make an agreement.
Yeah, that would be the best. And I'm not sure. For example, I don't remember if mezcal is almost the same than tequila, but it depends of the zone where it was the agave growth,
Not only that,
or
the
is
plant of origin is also a bit different. Yeah, is the agave plant is the same, but the variety is different.
mm,
Is like in if you talk about cloth or garments, you would say that silk and cotton are natural fibers. Yes, silk is
mhm,
seda and cotton is algodon. Yeah, they're natural fibers, but they are a little bit different. Well, in this case,
mhm,
it's even closer because the agave is agave, right? But one variety of agave is the Tequilana Weber, is the name of the tequila agave plant. And for mezcal, you have one variety which is called espadin, which is, I would say, slightly different. Not extremely, but slightly different,
mhm,
and the experts can tell the difference. If you ask me, I don't find any difference in the flavor of mezcal. Or, for me, it's the same. Honestly, they
mhm, yeah,
if they give you a blind tasting, they put a fold on you and they give you
mhm,
three glasses, and one of them has mezcal, Mickey. The second one has tequila, and another one has something else,
mhm,
probably pulque, let's say,
yeah,
which is a derivative of agave too. So
agave
they
too.
tell you, Mickey, we have three products. Identify
Mhm,
which is mezcal, which is tequila, which is pulque. I wouldn't be able to recognize it to tell the difference
me
in my
neither.
case, but some experts can. How do
Mhm.
they do it? No idea.
They have practiced a lot of time. Yeah, yeah. I didn't know that was why my that's the reason why was my question because I didn't know if there was like a specific difference, but now that you mentioned, it's like a variety of the same agave.
Yeah, uh, I mean, if you give me a glass with Pepsi and another glass with Coke, probably I will be able to tell you the difference.
Yeah, me too.
How would you say? How would you tell that it's Coke or Pepsi?
I would say that Pepsi is like a little bit more uh, with a sweet taste, like more sweet. I would say. And what else? And well, to be honest, I prefer Coke, but um, because I would say that Coke has like a, I don't know how to say, like a stronger um
Flavor.
flavor. Yeah, exactly. And Pepsi, for me at least, is like more sweet. I don't know
Okay.
what's your perception.
Well, honestly, you can tell that I'm not an expert because for me it's exactly the opposite. I would say that, but
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I would
Hmm.
imagine that Coke has a little bit more contents of sugar and probably a bit more sparkling, that is carbon dioxide. But I can tell
Definitely.
you that this product is Coke and this is Pepsi. But that well, now that you mentioned the contents of sugar, I'm not totally sure. But I can tell because of the flavor. It's slightly different.
It's different.
Probably, yeah, yeah. But well, these companies have vertical integration, and I didn't know. And my clients in Irapuato, the Listen GPS company, they have a client called also Lala and Alpura, and I didn't know that Alpura has a cooperative. So what they do is they carry out a complete plan and planning of the cultivation of barley. I'm sorry, of cows. And
Hmm.
Modelo, the beer company,
Hmm.
also has a complete planning of the plantation of barley. So the beer companies and the milk companies have their own cooperatives. I didn't know that.
No, me neither. Alpura, you mentioned?
Alpura, I think Leche Leon and Lala, they all have cooperatives. I think, apparently, according to my client, which are great people, these guys of Leche and GPS, and uh, when they say that they have their cooperatives, that allows them to carry out a plan for 1 to 3 or 4 5 years of production of barley in the case of the beer company,
Hmm.
and milk in the case of the milk company. For example, do you wish to please read what it says about the vertical integration of the dairy sector, Mickey, please?
Yeah. Uh, Vertical integration examples: production, ownership of dairy farms; processing, ownership of processing plants to make cheese, yogurt, etc.; distribution and retail, owning delivery logistics and even retail stores.
Okay, in that case, not only having plans to make cheese yogurt, what else can you do if you have dairy farms where you have lots of cows that give you 40 milks liters of milk per day? What else would you do to distribute the milk?
Mm,
I mean, what other product would you produce instead besides cheese and yogurt?
what else?
Remember the French researcher Louis
Pasteur?
Pasteur? Yeah.
Yeah.
What did he do?
Mm, well, the process of the pasteurized milk.
Yeah, exactly. So if you developed a pasteurizing milk company,
Hmm.
you would be able to bottle pasteurized milk and distribute it and store it in the refrigerators or cold chambers,
Hmm.
and that increase the business dramatically, don't you think?
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Yeah, because now, like, now the milk can last more time instead of not being pasteurized, right?
Right? That means that the shelf life of milk would increase
Increase.
um, to, I don't know, 5 or 6 days, 5 or 6 days more.
Hmm.
4 6 days. Or what's the shelf life of products that you see in the stores, Mickey? Like if you go to Farmacia Guadalajara or you go to Soriana or any of the convenience stores,
Hmm.
what's the shelf life? The how do you call this? The validity period of the product, more or less.
In
On
milk?
for milk, yes.
Hmm. I don't remember exactly from milk, but 2 weeks ago I purchased a yogurt. This yogurt is like a type of oikos yogurt,
Okay.
and I remember the date of
Expiration.
expiration was like almost 4 weeks after I purchased the yogurt.
But did it have to be under refrigeration, Mickey, or could it be exposed? I mean, the open.
Oh no, yeah, that was on the refrigeration. Now without, I don't know, to be honest.
Oh, okay. So I believe that is a positive thing, and that's what you want to attain when you give it value, right? If you pack a product, if you pasteurize it, if you put it in a cold chamber, any process that you add to the product is mostly with intention of extending the shelf life.
Hmm.
The shelf life. You want to extend the shelf life. Um, that's what you want to attain normally.
Yeah.
But i- some growers, for example, wheat, barley, corn, beans, they normally finish their activity. I take it to the city market and they're done with it. But then, for some strange economic phenomena, the raw material that is almost a commodity, corn, Mickey,
Hmm.
wheat, barley, agave, all the basic products remain frozen, talking about price, whereas the value added product increases the price dramatically. How would you explain that phenomena? And how would you not justify it? How would you justify it or criticize it? What would you say about, for example, agave plants are now 2 pesos the kilogram.
Two
And if you
pesos.
look for a bottle of tequila, it'll cost you 500, 600, or 700 pesos. How can we explain or justify that if that is justifiable?
That's the issue. I don't know if it's justifiable. Well, at the end, mm, here in Mexico and in many parts of the world, still working the free market, and at the end you can like put your price and see if people is gonna buy it. But yeah, it is true. I would say that the issue is that normally the the dividends of the profit is not like correctly divided between the growers and obviously the owners of the brand. I would say that it should be like more fair in that part.
Okay. Uh, all right. Let's say that you and I, let's suppose that we say no, we cannot afford, or we don't like that the we produce milk, right? You have 100 cows and I have 100 cows,
Mm,
and the pasteurizing company tells us, okay, Mickey, teacher Edgardo, we are not going to buy your milk anymore at 8 pesos. We're going to pay you five. And you and I get upset and we say, okay, Mickey, they want to pay us 5 pesos. No, we cannot tolerate that. Let's start a pasteurizing company. We buy the machinery. What be the first problem to buy the machinery? It's not cheap, I
mhm.
guarantee.
Yeah, 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 of
What would
course.
the first problem be, in your opinion?
Well,
What do
the
you think?
first problem will be like uh, have the money to install all those machines and have the money to purchase those machines and give the maintenance that require. Um, Probably to contract people that is specialized in this type of machines too, that gives the maintenance. That will be.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So if people are struggling with the prices, be it corn to make tortillas, or wheat to make bread, or milk to make yogurt, cheese, or pasteurized milk, or agave growers to have tequila or mezcal, the problem is exactly what you said. We don't have the money to say, "Oh no, we had enough. Let's buy a distiller tomorrow." Well, and where's the money, right?
Yeah, of course.
And that produces a vicious cycle, right? So it is um, difficult to change businesses or to integrate your company vertically if you don't do it with certain planning. For example, I think you have been very organized and very careful to little by little, with no pressure and no rush, to increase the size of your business or not.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
You didn't do it overnight. That you said last night, "Oh no, no, this is not correct. I'm going to expand," and tomorrow, boom, you have a double size. It hasn't happened like
Mm.
that, has it?
No, it's little by little.
Little by little, right? And the question then, Mickey, why don't growers little by little prepare for the future in the sense that they can probably make an agreement to establish a, let's say, a cooperative or a Sociedad de Producción Rural, SPR, or an anonymous society or whatever as a group to work together, not individually. But we don't have the culture. So why don't they do it little by little, preparing for the future, because prices, as you mentioned, can shrink, they can contract. So if you had to advise growers or people about this issue, what would you tell them? What would your advice be as an entrepreneur yourself?
I would say that, or did you can just wait me 2 minutes because they are fixing something here in the garden and
Yeah,
there's
take
a
your
lot of
time.
noise. Let me move
Take your time. Take your time. Take your
move
time.
to other place.
Right.
Wait me. Thanks.
Yes. Okay. No problem.
Hi teacher, happy Teacher's Day. See you on Friday. Have a nice day.
I'm back, teacher. Um, the people that is working outside asked me if they can like turn off the power of the house for 5 minutes. I don't know if you can just wait me five
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. We come back in 5 minutes, Mickey. Don't worry.
perfect, teacher. So I'm
Okay.
gonna turn off my audio and my camera, but in 5 minutes I'll be back.
Absolutely. Take your time. No problem. Hello, Mickey. You're back.
Hi, turn back. Yes, thank you. Yeah, because I don't know what happened like 2 days ago that I don't know what's exactly the name of that, but the pump of the water, it wasn't working, and now they don't know if they need to remove part of the garden to see what happened behind it. So I don't know. They are doing like different tries to see what is happening, and since then we're like having here issues.
Right. Yeah, that it can be something like a bad connection. Maybe the water pump is out of order. Maybe the motor. It can be many things, but it's a good thing that you guys have an expert checking, a technician checking the installation, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's the good part. Yeah, because they mentioned that probably was the, I don't know what's the name, Pichancha, that it wasn't working anymore. But then yeah, there was like one part of the whole issue, but there's other parts that that they need to check. So
Yeah, the float is a part that that triggers or stops the functioning of the motor, because
mhm,
in every system there must be a float. The float is a
mhm,
little ball that moves up or down with a
mhm,
lever,
mhm,
and that triggers or initiates the working of the motor or stops it depending on the level of the water.
mhm.
So yeah, it's very very interesting. But well, hopefully the technician will find out the problem and fix it.
Yeah, we hope so.
Right. Well, now talking about entry barriers, we want to establish a distiller or a pasteurizing company, but there are some barriers, some problems. And one of them you already mentioned, and that is, for example, what is the cost of land for production? If we want to own the land, we can lease it, we can rent it, or we can buy it. But in either case, is not cheap. What don't you think, Mickey?
Yeah, I would say that that's one of the biggest issues in the actuality, not just for business, I think in general. the the prices of houses, rents has increased dramatically, and yeah, that's a big issue.
Right. So, if a group of growers or producers of different products wanted to become a group to conform a cooperative, that will reduce the price of a facility for processing, storing, bottling, and having or owning a cold chain platform, don't you think?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And what cooperatives have you seen or maybe studied during your career or probably visited, or what's your general concept of a cooperative? I know that I'm sure that you know the very famous cooperative Cruz Azul, right, which is a cooperative of production of cement, and they have their soccer team. What
Yeah.
other cooperatives have you seen besides that? And maybe I don't know what's your concept, general concept of a cooperative, Mickey?
Mm, well, I'm thinking in cooperatives that are famous. Probably. Well, I don't know. It will be like the same in the case of Pepsi that has like different um, businesses in the same company, but like focus on different parts, like Sabritas. I think that Sonrix too is from Pepsi, and they have like different uh, facilities depending of each business.
Yeah, there are other characteristics of cooperatives. If you wish, let's go through them and let's see what you think. Let's discuss them. Can you please, Mickey?
Okay, yeah. Key characteristics of cooperatives: voluntary and open membership. Anyone can join without discrimination. democratic control, one member, one vote, not based on capital, member economic participation, profits are distributed equitably or reinvested, autonomy and independence, self-managed even when receiving external support, education and training for members and the community, cooperation among cooperatives, strength through networks, concern for community, sustainable development focus. I don't know if one company that their actions are on the market will be a cooperative in that case
A cooperative can be part of the market, can be in the stock market as well,
in the stock market.
but mostly the decisions are taken jointly. Is not based on the amount of shares that you have. You can have 1,000 shares, and maybe Carlitos Slim can have 1,000,000 shares, but he has one vote, and you have one vote, and I have one vote. Your dad has one vote per person, regardless of the shares or the amount of capital that you invested in the company. That means one person, one vote. Yeah, but you have 20 million, and the other partners have only 1 million. Regardless of that, you are one person, you have one vote. In other organizations, if you have more money, your vote weighs more. In other words, if you invest 3 times as much as maybe Luis, well, you have 3 votes. Whereas in a cooperative, even if you invest 3 or 5 or 10 times more than other members, you still have one vote.
Okay.
That's what they call democratic control. One person,
Mm-hmm.
one vote.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one is that the profits are distributed equitably or reinvested. But it also has something to do. That doesn't mean that you have 10 and you just get one. If you receive proportionally to what you invest or you participate with. So if you contribute with 10 hectares, you receive the yield of, let's say you have 10 hectares and the other partners have 1 hectare each, you receive the proportionally what is produced in 10 hectares. You receive 10 times more,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you just vote, you just have one vote, not 10 votes
Yeah.
in
Okay.
the
No,
decision
I
making.
got you.
All right. And so there are many advantages in cooperatives because you can also associate with other cooperatives, and you have a power of negotiation because instead of negotiating what you produce, you negotiate what 20 growers produce. So you find better prices, better deals.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a benefit of a cooperative. But that can only be one solution. I don't know if that is the only solution, but that can be one solution. For example, if you want to have a distillation unit,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what would the price for a tequila distillation unit be, Mickey? Can you find out just to know and the capacity of this distillation unit to produce tequila? That should be like a bioreactor or a tank for producing tequila. Can you find out, please? There should be much information about that.
Yeah. Let me.
Distillation, distillation unit for tequila price. What's the price? Distillation stills. I don't know how expensive that would be. Those who appreciate the ethnicity of aesthetics. Machinery. 14,000. Wow.
Well, here appears like different types of distillation steels, and depending of the type of material is the capacity, and obviously the cost. The cheapest one is made by steel and what's the name of this? Copper, I think.
Copper looks like,
Yeah, copper. Yeah, copper.
all right.
The
Copper,
capacity
copper.
is between 5 to 20 liters, and the cost in USD are between 100 to 600. I think that it's a big range, and
Yeah.
and the usage of that type of distillation still is for personal or like more, how say, like artisanal. I don't know what's the name of artisanal.
Artisanal, right? Yeah, yes. Or aircraft. You can say aircraft
Mm-hmm.
or
Aircraft, yeah, handcraft. And
handcraft or aircraft are different concepts, but they are related. Artisany
and
is okay. It's a correct word too.
artisanal, yeah.
Yeah.
And for example, if we go to uh, bigger capacity, there's the industrial that is semi-automatic, and the capacity is between 500 to 2,000 liters, and the cost in USD is between 15,000 to $100,000 plus. And obviously, yeah, the usage of that is more commercial production. And that's and this other one that has column steel. The capacity is between 500 to 5,000 liters, depending of the distillation steel, and the cost is between 20,000 to $300,000, and is more usage for vodka, gin, and ethanol. I don't know because the range that it gives me is is so open, so I don't know more or less what would be like the average, depending of
Right.
the distillation steel.
Right. Yeah. Uh, what do you think of the price in terms of the growers that would be interested? Do you think that's an impossible price, or that's a price that can be um, covered with the participation of three, four, five, 10 growers altogether? What's your idea of this price?
Yeah, I would say that the best way to manage it would be like if a group of growers invest in that, because it can makes like the process much easier and automatic. Yeah, in a way like automatize certain,
Automate,
yeah, certain things, I would say.
right? For example, yeah, distilling the agave plants is something that is laborious. It's not something that is so easy, and
I
you
imagine.
probably need the machinery, the distiller. Um, in terms of labels, do you know what should be covered in terms of label? There are rules and regulations to prepare a label. What have you seen in terms of label requirements, Mickey?
Label requirements.
Yeah.
Well, in the case of tequila, I think that it must say where it was produced, right? Uh,
Yes.
from which facilities was distributed to. Um, what else? Um, Obviously, the ingredients, the alcohol percentage, mm,
Right.
the denomination of origin, of course.
Denomination of origin. Yes.
There's other like little tag that is from Hacienda, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. 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 Yes.
I don't know exactly the name of that little tag, but what else?
I think they
Mm,
call it label and counter label, or I don't know what the name in English is, but it's the back label. You have a contraetiqueta. It has to have two labels, one that indicates the origin and the type of variety of the agave plant,
mm,
and the various categories. It has 100% agave, if it is blanco joven or reposado, as they call it,
mhm,
and obviously the CRT seal, the seal from the Consejo Regulador del Tequila, CRT, it must
mm,
have the seal because they are the ones, the CRT, the Consejo Regulador del Tequila, is the one that gives you the permit to produce it.
mm. And well, that organization is part of the government or is like an independent?
No, it's a private organization, Mickey.
Well, I don't know that.
Yeah, it's a private organization, very lucrative, very profitable, I believe, very well organized, because they have made a whole industry of a plant that can only grow in desertic areas or with very little water and very resistant.
Mm-hmm.
So they made a fortune. They're making a fortune out of something that has very limited resources. I mean, to plant agave, I mean, agave is, uh, I think, is one of the succulent plants, part of this family,
Mm-hmm.
and is produced with not too much effort. And if you go back in history, like 50, 60 years,
Mm-hmm.
it has gone the same transformation as the denim pants, which now all famous actors and actresses and celebrities wear.
Yeah.
50, 60 years ago, 70 years ago, denim pants were used or worn only by factory workers,
Workers. Yeah.
yeah, which is nothing wrong with that. But the profile was totally the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
You wore cashmere or cotton or silk or linen pants or garments, and denim pants was given to only to the poorest people or workers. And now it's the opposite. Well, same phenomenon happened with tequila.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly the same. 30, 40, 50 years ago, tequila was the beverage of the least accommodated classes. And now it's the opposite.
No, it's the opposite. Yeah. No, it's the opposite. Yeah, and I think that it's because I have seen like famous people, actors from Hollywood. Now they have like their own brand of tequila. I have seen The Rock. You know that actor. Jackie Chan too has has
Oh,
one brand of tequila. So, but what happened is what we were mentioning, that I think that there's a moment when the market was so profitable that a lot of people wanted to do the same. Then that the consequence was that now it's a little bit like I could say like a stagnant, or like I would say I'm sure that it still is being profitable, but I imagine like the biggest companies, but I don't know like the smallest ones, how they are dealing now with a lot of competition.
it is a problem. It is a problem because uh, when you are a big company, you have more leverage. You have
Yeah.
more, yeah.
Hmm.
And smaller companies have less access to markets. That's another problem too. Another challenge that small growers have. They don't have the direct access to markets, to the buyers, to the consumer. And that's what I'm referring to when we say vertical integration. If you just produce barley or corn or agave, you don't reach the final destination, the end consumer. So the intermediaries, they make much more money than the grower in many areas. I'm not saying all of them. So my questioning is, if it wouldn't be good for the grower to integrate vertically, but same following your model, Mickey, little by little, little by little, trying to expand upwards or downwards, or even laterally to have horizontal integration, but with the idea of having more access to the market.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, of course, that will be great. Um, I think that it's something possible, and I don't know if it feels like if it seeks like different organizations or the same government that support like this type of uh, yeah, of growers that probably have money, but not all the money to cover all the capacity that the one, in this case, one brand of tequila requires. I don't know. I imagine that, yeah, probably there's like groups or organizations that support growers in this case, or not. I'm not sure.
Yeah, the government has a secretary which is Sagarpa, and Sagarpa has several programs that help growers in various aspects with machinery, with technology, with training, with funds. So there are lots of support programs that give support to the growers, but many, many, many. Some of them are not repayable. They just give away the money. Of course, you need to develop a program that explains the project, what the project is. If
Of
you want to
course.
build a packing house, well, what are you going to pack? Well,
Yeah.
broccoli, all right. Do you have a cold chamber? Yeah. Do you have a market? Yeah, you have access to a market. What is a market? What's the profit? You are you employing people? Yeah. How many employees are you creating? So you develop a whole project, and that's an incentive for the government to lend you or to give you the money. In either case, it's always positive. But you need to create a plan, a business plan,
Hmm.
and then you enter that business plan in this organization called FIRCO, which is in Celaya.
Filco.
FIRCO, Fideicomiso de Riesgo Compartido.
Ah, okay.
And normally, what you have to do is to invest your own money. Let's say that we create a company. We say, let's create a company. Let's find 10 partners, and we go buy the tequila liquid in Arandas. We buy the bottle. We buy 1 liter for 60 pesos. 60 pesos. So 60 pesos at 50. Obviously, tequila must have 37 degrees. Right? So we buy 1 liter. 1 liter is going to cost 60 pesos in
Hmm.
Arandas, right?
Hmm.
But the liter is at 55 uh, degrees. What is the degrees, grados, what? Gay-Lussac, or what is that?
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. Let me check.
Well, I'm not sure either. So you're going to have, if you add water, you're going to dilute it with 50% to get 37, 38 degrees or 40, let's say 40 degrees. You make the conversion dilute to get 40 degrees product. So the cost goes down to 40 pesos per liter. 40 pesos is nothing.
No.
So you just need to get a good bottle, say other 20, 25, 30 pesos, no more than that. But let's say that you get a fancy bottle, 40 pesos, price per bottle, cost per bottle, cost per bottle. Other 20, 30 if you want a very fancy bottle.
Yeah.
And then the label. What can the label cost? I don't think it costs as much. Let's say a very nice, sophisticated bottle, 5 pesos.
Yeah.
So you have, and what else? That's it. The permit. I don't know the permit from the CRT. Um, let's say that it costs. I don't. I have no clue. But you, what
Taxes.
taxes? Well, that's after you sell the product.
Hmm.
That's income tax after you sell it. But at the time being, let's say that you, I don't know. Let's say the cost per bottle is going to be 10 pesos, which I have no idea, honestly. So the no, it's too much. Not 60. I'm sorry. The 60 is the original price, but when you dilute it to get 40 degrees, originally they sell it at 55. You dilute it to get 40, so the price per bottle is 85. This is the price, cost per bottle. I'm sorry, cost per bottle. And you want a margin. Well, if you sell it, you see the prices in the stores. They are 700 pesos. They are making fortunes, right?
Yeah.
So it's in at least in paper, it doesn't look like a bad idea, right? On paper. Yeah, when you try it, you see all the obstacles and this and that. But on paper, it looks like a very profitable project because the cost per bottle is 85. If you sell it at 300 or 250, which is a very competitive price, you're making a profit per bottle. This is the price, selling price. You're making a profit of what? profit of minus 160 pesos per bottle, which is significant. It's almost 200%, right?
200%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was discussing this with a friend, and doing this is different from producing it, right? You just buy the liquid and you bottle it. You develop a label and maybe get a permit from the CRT, Consejo Regulador del Tequila, and boom, there you go. And of course, you have to sell it, but if it is a good quality liquid, you could easily sell it. I think. What do you think of these type of projects, Mickey, that are more or less simple to carry out? However, people don't go ahead and do them. What do you think about this type of project? It's too simple to be true, right? Or what do you think?
I would say that in many cases, it's very simple, but in occasions, well, the fear and probably don't have the knowledge to take action and develop a project of this type makes people like don't act, to
Right,
probably try different things. But I would say that now at this moment there are like different ways to get profit. Not obviously we would love to I don't know, create a bottle and selling on Walmart or in HEB or these supermarkets. But now I have seen cases where they just are selling online, and what they invest was in marketing and in people that shows the product, and yeah, they're selling just in their website. They don't need to pay or give like uh, I'm not sure, but one time I read that normally the products that are selling in the supermarkets, at least in Walmart, the brand is like paging the space inside of Walmart. So in a way, I would say that now there are like different types of businesses, thanks for the e-commerce and technology, that you can try, and yeah, as we see here, the profit is almost 200%. So I
yeah,
would say it's possible.
right. Yeah, and you mentioned one of the most important words in business, which is act.
Mm-hmm.
If you act, you can fail. That's a scenery, but
Mm-hmm.
you can have success, and you can fail and learn and retry it and prosper on that idea. Not necessarily on agave; it can be on milk, can be on. Almost in a business, as you can say, there are many ways to make a profit. But just
Mm-hmm.
the whole idea, the simple idea of being able to get liquid, put in a bottle, develop your own brand, it sounds appealing to me at least. I've been chatting with this friend of mine that is in Aguascalientes, and he's the one who's been telling me about all these issues. And I just wanted to share this with you, Mickey, to get your opinion, your point of view. See
Yeah,
of
that
the
would be great. That would be great. If you and your friend create a brand of tequila, I will be one of your customers.
the, the main distributor, right?
Yeah, of
You never
course.
know. Send,
Yeah,
imagine you have the experience, the expertise to export, to get to a high level clientele and this and that. So why not try it, right?
yeah, of course. And as I mentioned, now with e-commerce, you can sell it in Amazon too. Actually, Amazon has a program that supports like the artisanal products or handcrafted, and the support that they give is like that they gives is that they don't charge you anything about for the distribution of the product. Just obviously you need to create a plan, as you mentioned, and shows that it's created here and that you have people from your country or for a specific zone working on it, and they discount you a good amount of the charges that they charge to other sellers that just sell, I don't know, supplements or makeup, whatever. So yeah, now there are like different ways to sell your products.
Yeah, yeah, and that is amazing. Before I forget, this company, Laser and GPS system, that brings drones and laser systems for agriculture.
Hmm.
One of them is looking for sellers on commission. So if you know a person that would be interested in selling drones and the like for a commission, uh, that'd be very greatly appreciated, Mickey, because
Of course.
they're interested in that. So I'm gonna put them in contact with people that maybe you recommend. I have another person that I know in Celaya who's also a very smart guy as well. So if you come across anyone who would be interested in selling uh, equipment for agriculture on commission, that'd be greatly appreciated, Mickey.
Yes, sure, of course. I don't know if they give you like I don't know the requirements of the people that they want to contract. But if you have like this information, or it's just like anyone can do it. I don't know.
Well, if you have the contacts, they're very serious. The person that is in sales is a very serious guy, very
Hmm.
funny, he's very friendly, but at the same time, business wise, he's very serious. So they're, as they say, a man on the word, right?
Hmm.
So uh, if you know someone, I can give you the contact information, this the name of this guy, or if you know a couple of people, I can give them your. If you accept, I can give them your contact information, so they contact you, and you can put other people in contact. I mean, they are serious but friendly people, very down to earth people. So
Okay, sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah, probably I have some people that could be interested. Yes, sure.
maybe you develop an alliance with them and you advertise a product or their products and systems online and you make a formula or something. I mean, everything is possible, right? If it's not there, if it's not created, you can
Yeah.
always create it.
Yeah. Yes, sure. Of course.
Who knows?
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Right. Okay, Mickey. Well, let's call it for today. Good talking to you. Take care and have a nice weekend.
You too, teacher. Take care. Thank you for your time.
All
See you
right,
the next
Mickey.
week, right?
See you next week. Take care. See
See
you.
you.
Thank you.
Take
Bye
care.
bye. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.